Good morning and welcome to Higher Ground, an examination of some of the moral, ethical, and other issues of the day. I'm your host, Carmen Fields. Our three segments will be looking first at food sustainability, then helping feed the hungry, and lastly, food for the spirit of some of the city's homeless. But first, let's take a look at the growing healthy food movement. You may already know that your climate science deniers notwithstanding, our health is connected to the health of planet Earth. In fact, some believe that if we all followed the U.S. dietary guidelines, there would not be enough land to provide the food required. My guest, who specializes in food and sustainability, believes it is a misconception that vegetables need soil for nutrients. Dr. Gail Barnes is a South Africa-trained biology and food scientist who consults with companies worldwide on product sustainability and recycling strategies. And sustainable farming is not just for farmers, I'm learning. She says it can be for small home gardeners like you and me. Dr. Barnes, welcome to Higher Ground.
Wonderful. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
What do you mean when you say there's not enough land to feed everybody a healthy diet?
There isn't. If we use traditional farming, and I'm a farm girl, so I grew up on a farm, but there is just not enough land. We would need a land mass almost the size of Canada if we wanted to be able to use traditional farming, which brings us to hydroponics, or growing things in water, or growing things in the biggest body of water in the world, our blue world, in other words, the ocean.
Well, and that brings me to the difference in soil and sea for growing vegetables.
Soil and sea, or soil and water, you need much less nutrients to grow in water, whether that water is salty, as in the ocean, or whether the water is salty, as in something you can put on your kitchen counter. You can feed, you can control what you feed very carefully, and because it's a controlled environment, you don't have to use the pesticides and the other things to get the plants to grow. And in addition, you know, when they say as part of the promotional blurb, hydroponics will grow things 5 times as fast, they are seriously not kidding. I have one of these little guys at home. I bought it on the internet, so no relationship with the folks whatsoever, but you know, a basil leaf can go from that wide to that wide overnight. It is
overnight? Okay.
It is incredible to watch.
Well, let's talk about hydroponics and sustainability. I can't believe all of this was grown hydroponically, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Everything that you see here could be grown hydroponically. So we have the kale, the peppers, the strawberries, the cherry tomatoes, the cucumbers, the lettuce, there is mint, and there is spinach here. And so this could be grown in your basement. You don't have to, I bought something, you don't have to buy something. You can MacGyver it by getting onto YouTube. And you can make your own, and no more food scarce, no more worried about, can I eat the romaine lettuce this week? Yes, you can, because you've grown it yourself. But you know, the one thing I really want to tell your viewers about is not just stuff grown in the ocean, but seaweed, sea lettuce, and sea moss.
And what's the importance of these?
Superfoods grown in the ocean. You know, Mother Nature color codes. So of the seaweeds, you can see this one is red. Would you like to try it?
Sure.
It's and very, very rich in vitamins A, C, E, D, and B, and can act as an anti-inflammatory, very, very rich in fiber. I think it's, 100 grams of fiber in 3.5 ounces of red seaweed. The really, really good stuff in red seaweed is a substance called carrageenan. And Carrageenan can reduce inflammation. It can lower cholesterol. My personal favorite for this time of the year, human clinical studies have shown that Carrageenan can reduce the duration of colds and flu.
Okay.
So fast forward to that nasty sniffle. The Carrageenan in the seaweed. And you know, you don't need to buy seaweed. Of course you can. And it's a what did it taste like, by the way?
A little salty, but I like seaweed and I like salt, so it's fine with me.
So, you know, what people do is they can crumble this. Imagine this was my salad. I could crumble this on top of my salad, or I could include it in a broth or a sauce. If you're a mom, you know how to put the good stuff into all the home cooking.
So they won't object.
Exactly. But, you know, the good news is Carrageenan is found in so many of our dairy products, whether it's yogurt, sour cream, all the wonderful stuff to eat in winter. Beverages, you can get it there. Just look on the label.
What is the easiest to grow of this array? If I'm getting started, I'm going to go down in my basement. I may buy something online, or I may just use my pots on hand. How to get started, and what's the easiest, the quickest way to success?
Well, basil
Okay.
gets an absolute A for being the easiest. You can get this one, which is in front of you, which is growing in soil, but of course it would be growing in the hydroponic unit. You can get this one, which is sweet basil, which is just, you just want to bury your face in it. It smells so good. You can get Thai basil as well. Thyme is very good. Those are cherry tomatoes. Parsley, yes, will grow. The thing that I give a D is dill.
Okay.
I do not know why my dill won't grow.
Well, it sounds more herb-oriented than, I don't know, potatoes or other
You know,
staples that we're accustomed to from the farm.
yes, and I have not grown potatoes. You can get the little units that fit in here, which is that's like a little cage, and you can plant your own seeds in there.
Carrots and onions and things like that, maybe?
I would experiment, you know, maybe not on something this small,
Okay.
but certainly if you've got something a little bigger in either your basement or you've got an enclosed porch, if you're not freezing like we are in Boston and Chicago right now, experiment. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm starting small with herbs.
Okay.
And gorgeous. My next step up is flowers, lavender, because it's also a herb, and you can use it in so many ways, but then you can just grow flowers for their beauty.
But now, we mentioned water as supplying enough nutrients, but what about people in areas that have difficulty with water supplies? I'm thinking California, I'm thinking, I don't know, Flint, other places. How important or is water? Does this use less water than traditional gardening, or?
Yes, it does, 80% less.
Okay.
So absolutely, you know, it obviously they're growing in water, but compared to what you would have to water it if
Yes,
it was outside, much, much less.
Okay.
Which is why, I don't know if you've heard of urban gardening or
Yes.
indoor gardening.
Yes.
That's why so many people are turning to that. It's a controlled environment. You use less water. You don't need the pesticides.
Okay.
And look
Well,
what it looks like.
thank you for this very informative conversation and for this information. Now, if you want more information, here's Dr. Barnes's website, www.about.me/Gail Barnes. And after a brief break, we'll talk about getting food to those who need it most. Stay tuned.